everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Bilikis. How you all doing? Hope you're good. I'm back with another tutorial which is similar to our last class, which was on how to make a flounce. In our last class, which is a must for you to watch, I'm going to put the link in the description box below because it was so detailed, especially on how to attach the flounce. I made use of the horsehair braid to make it bouncy and lovely. I got a question from the last class that for those who do not have the horsehair braid available, there is another way out, and that is why I decided to make another tutorial. And then if you want this stylish spiral type whereby the end is smaller, I decided to make a video on that. So that is what we'll be doing today. And if today is your first time of checking out this channel, you're welcome, and please make sure you subscribe. Follow me on Instagram, Bilikis Signatures, and on Facebook, Sewing Innovations. Check out my other channel, Pattern Drafting with Bilikis and Bilikis Kitchen. I'll be making use of this very fabric here. And if you are making yours, you can either use the same fabric for both the lining and the main fabric. But here I'll be making use of a fabric and a lining. Though the lining is not matching, when you're making yours, make sure you use a matching lining. This is off, but I'm just going to use that for the sake of tutorial. Another essential thing you need to get is your interfacing. This interfacing is divided into three. We have the lightest one, which is the one I have here, popularly called paper stay, the normal one, and then the hard one. But I have the lightest one available, which you don't have to worry. I'll tell you how to do about that. But on a normal day, I will advise you to use the normal one, that is the medium weight interfacing. So now let's get started. So you don't need too much fabric to make your flounce, except you want more, maybe 2 layers or 3 layers. The first thing you have to do is to determine the length of the flounce you want to make. So you, as I've said from the last class, you can decide to start from the waist all to the back, all to the waist at the back, or just from the waist to the shoulder, however you want it. So in today's class, I will be making it right from the waist at the front to the waist at the back. So when I took that measurement, I have 33, or if you don't want to go through that stress, whatever the measurement from the nape of your neck is to your waist, just double that. That's it. So whatever you have is the length of the flounce. But when you're making the flounce, you really need to make it longer. You don't want to use the exact same measurement because you will be pleating. Because when you pleat it, that is when it becomes fuller and more beautiful, just as I've explained in the last class. So the next thing now is to calculate the radius of the circle, because we are cutting it in form of a full circle. And I told you the length I'm working with is 33. I want the total length to be 33, and in this case I'm just going to make it 50 inches. But I will advise you to add more. Like since it's 33, I will advise you to just double it. That means you will make it like 63 or 60 inches is fine. But for this tutorial, I'll just make it 50 inches. So that means the length of the flounce is 50 inches. So I will use that to calculate the radius. So I'll just go to the calculator, and then 50 inches divided by 6.28. That's the standard for calculating the radius of the full circle. And here I have 7.96, which is approximately 8 inches. So that means the length of my radius is going to be 8 inches. Then you need to determine the wideness of your flounce. So I will just make it 6 inches plus seam allowance to be 6.5. So when you have that 8 inches plus 6.5, which is 6.5, half is 0.5, it gives me 14.5, 14.5, which is 4.5. Now let us quickly do that. So the first thing you have to do is to fold your fabric once this way. Before folding it again, just ensure it will be able to contain what we want to do. We need 14.5, so it is more than enough. Next thing will be to fold over again. So that's how you fold for a full circle. Good. The next thing is to start with the radius. Remember the radius was 8. So you start from here, mark 8 inches. So you have to rotate that. So now the radius has been formed. Then we go to the wideness. You know, we calculated it to be 4.5. 14.5. Then you keep rotating it. And a half. So let's check. Perfect. We have 6.5. So I'm just going to keep rotating. Now it is ready, as you can see that. Then I can just cut it out. So the same way I folded is the same way you are going to fold for the lining and cut out the same thing. So I'm just going to fold the lining the same way and cut it out. The lining, and this is what I have. So what I'm going to do now is this. Because we want one end of the flounce from the starting point to the end to be in a spiral form, that is to be shorter, not long as the other one. So what do you do? What I'm going to do now is to open this up and also open this up. Remember, this is still on fold, so that point will be one end, the starting point, and the other one the end. So in this case, what you are just going to do is this. Right from here, just come out about, let's say, 1 inch from here because of seam allowance. So when you take half an inch seam allowance, you'll still be left with half an inch, which is fine. So now this is the midpoint. Can you see that? Then you can still come in a little bit, like half of. Now this is the midpoint of this. Then from here again, just determine the midpoint. Then you can just connect. Can you see that? Just open visible. So you keep connecting it in a curvy way. And you see, you can still try to reduce it here, because by the time we pleat it, so that means from here, can you see how it goes straight to this point? So this is what it's going to look like. Then you can now slit this part open, here open. So you'll be cutting 2 of this. So can you see how this part looks like? So by the time it's this way, can you see, and you pleat, can you see the way this part is? And it's going to be beautiful, so all across to the back. So this is how it's going to look on here. Can you see? So by the time we pleat it, it's going to be beautiful, the same thing as the lining. What I will do now is this. I will have to get the interfacing and glue it to the fabric, both the fabric and the lining. So because I'm working with this lightest one, what I'm going to do is to double it. First, I'm going to glue it all to the fabric, then place another one on it, so it will be double. But if you are working with the normal one, just one round is okay, but because this is very light, I'm going to make 2 rounds, first, second, both the fabric and the lining. Attach the interfacing to both fabric and lining, as you can see that. So I just did it once, but when you're making yours, make sure you double it to make it more stiffer. So looking at it is still light, but when you double it, it will be thicker. So the next thing I'm going to do is this. Make sure right side are facing each other the way it is. Then I'll go to the sewing machine and I'm just going to sew it all around. Can you see that? You can see that I've covered this up, then went round. So the next thing you are going to do is to notch, which I've done that. I've notched all around. Then you turn to the right side. So this is what you will have. So there are 2 ways to do this. You can either just top stitch, make sure all this seam allowance is towards the lining area. Can you see that? Then you sew very close to the same region. This is just to make it so neat, all the seam allowance, and then you top stitch all around. Or you just turn everything to the right side, give it a good press, and just top stitch on the outside. If you are doing it on the outside, make sure you are using a matching thread. That's very, very important. And then you just sew it all around. After doing that, after sewing it all around, then you take it back to your sewing machine to use your overlocking machine or zigzag to just secure this upper part. So you're just going to sew it together on the right side. Secured all the raw edges. So on the wrong side, you can see it better because of this contrasting color I made use of. So all I have to do now is to pin it down on the mannequin. You really need to watch the previous video before this, because I explained and detailed on the 2 ways in which you can attach your flounce to your dress. Yeah, there are 2 ways to do that, which I explained and took my time there. So right now, let me just place this on the mannequin. Beautiful the flounce came out. This is just so wonderful and a must try, and hope this tutorial has been helpful to you. If it has, please give me a giant thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. I'm just going to show you from the front to the back.